The countdown began without sound. No alarms, no sirens, no voice announcing the end. Just a number. 10. It appeared at exactly 3:17 a.m., glowing faintly on the cracked screen of an old digital clock in a forgotten town called Ridgewood. The clock had not worked in years. Its batteries were dead. Dust lived inside it like history. Yet the number burned alive. Outside, the wind stopped. Even the dogs went silent. The town that learned to hold its breath. Ridgewood was the kind of place maps remembered but people forgot. A town built around a railway that no longer ran, factories that no longer smoked, and memories that refused to die. People here lived simple lives. They woke early, they slept early. They believed nothing truly strange ever happened, only things they couldn't explain yet. That belief would not survive the week. At sunrise, Ethan Cole noticed the number for the first time. He was 16, too old to be a child, too young to stop believing in fear. He woke with a headache and the feeling that something had been watching him all night. His clock read 9. Battery's dead, he muttered, but the number changed anyway. The first crack in reality. By noon, the town felt wrong. Shadows stretched too long. Radios crackled with static between songs. Birds circled but never landed. At Ridgewood High, students whispered about dreams, shared dreams. A hallway with no end. A door breathing like a lung. A voice counting backward. Ethan sat with his friends, Lena, sharp-eyed and stubborn, and Mark, whose humor always hid anxiety. "Tell me you're seeing it too," Ethan said quietly. Lena nodded. "My phone, my microwave, my dad's truck dashboard." Mark swallowed. "It was on my wristwatch. I threw it away." They all looked at the wall clock above the classroom door. It flickered. 8. The teacher didn't notice. Reality, it seemed, was choosing who could see. The man who knew too much. At the edge of town lived Harold Vance, the last remaining scientist from Ridgewood's forgotten research facility, Site Echo. 30 years ago, Site Echo studied time distortion, electromagnetic memory, and something called threshold events. Then it burned down, officially. When Ethan, Lena, and Mark found Harold's house, he was already waiting. "You're late," he said. Lena frowned. "We didn't tell you we were coming." Harold smiled sadly. "You didn't have to." On his wall, dozens of clocks ticked backward in perfect sync. All showed 7. "It started again," Harold whispered. "What the countdown means." The truth came out in fragments. Ridgewood sat on a thin place, a crack between realities. Years ago, Site Echo tried to measure it. Instead, they weakened it. "The countdown isn't to destruction, it's to contact," Harold said. "Contact with what?" Mark asked. Harold hesitated. "Something that doesn't experience time the way we do. Something that wakes up slowly." The number dropped. 6. Outside, the sky darkened at noon. The disappearances. The first person vanished at 6:42 p.m. A grocery clerk. No scream, no mess. Just a shadow burned into the floor, like light had forgotten to touch him. Then a dog. Then a streetlight. Then a memory. People began forgetting names, birthdays, faces of loved ones who had just left the room. The countdown continued. 5. Ethan dreamed of a place made of echoes. Every sound he made came back wrong. A voice spoke from everywhere. When the number reaches 0, you will remember us. The door under the town. Beneath Site Echo, behind collapsed concrete and rusted steel, they found the door. It wasn't metal, it was absence, a shape cut out of the world. The air around it bent inward. Time felt thick like syrup. Harold's hands shook. We never closed it properly. Lena stepped forward. How do we stop it? Harold looked at Ethan. You don't stop a countdown, he said softly. You choose what happens when it ends. The number glowed on the door itself. 4. The cost of knowing. The entity spoke clearly now, not in words, but in memories. Ethan saw his childhood. Lena saw her mother before she died. Mark saw a future where Ridgewood was empty and silent. The entity fed of awareness. The more people noticed the countdown, the stronger it grew. People have to forget, Harold said. That's the only way. Lena shook her head. You're asking us to erase the truth. Harold nodded. Truth is expensive. 3. When time breaks. The town fractured. Cars froze mid-motion. Rain hung like glass. A scream echoed forever without a mouth. Ethan felt time pulling at him, trying to make him part of the echo. You're a bridge, the entity whispered. You were born during the last event. Harold stared at Ethan in horror. You're the anchor. Mark stepped forward. Then take me instead. The entity laughed without sound. 2. The choice at 1. There was only one way. To reset the boundary, someone had to carry the countdown into the threshold, to be remembered by the entity, but forgotten by the world. A human memory sealed inside something timeless. Ethan understood. Lena grabbed his arm. No! He smiled sadly. Someone has to be the last number. The door pulsed. 1. 0. When the countdown reached 0, there was no explosion, no fire, just silence. Ethan stepped forward and vanished like breath on glass. The door closed. Time snapped back into place. Birds landed. Clocks resumed. Ridgewood exhaled. The aftermath. No one remembered Ethan Cole. Not his teachers, not his neighbors, not even Lena or Mark. But sometimes Lena paused mid-sentence, feeling like she had lost something important. Sometimes Mark laughed at jokes he couldn't remember hearing before. And sometimes at exactly 3:17 a.m., a clock somewhere in Ridgewood flickered, then stayed dark. The final stranger thing. Far beyond time, Ethan drifted in a place without numbers. The entity slept again, but it remembered him. And somewhere deep in the void, a new countdown began. Not on a clock, but in a heartbeat. Because some doors never truly close. They just wait.